Alright, so for this task we're focusing on how to factor expressions using the distributive property. And this is actually the more difficult of the two types of ways to deal with the distributive property. So we're going to start with this one first, and then hopefully when you start working on task 22, you'll find that one very, very easy. So the first one, 3x plus 12, we have to figure out how to factor that out. To factor these expressions, you need to find the greatest common factor, which you might have practiced back in the level 1 tasks. And if you didn't, hopefully you remember that the greatest common factor is the biggest number that two numbers share. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to write our numbers and find the greatest common factor. So we're going to start by writing our two numbers, 3 and 12. And for right now, we're just going to ignore that variable again. So for 3, I know 1 and 3 multiply to get 3. And there's actually nothing else because 3 is a prime number. For 12, there's a lot more though. I know 1 and 12 make 12. I also know 2 times 6. And lastly, I also know 3 and 4 make 12. Now, we're looking for the greatest common factor. We're not simply looking for the greatest number. So I need to circle the numbers they have in common. So you can see they have a 1 in common. They also have a 3 in common. There's nothing else that 1 and 12 have in common. So which one is the greatest one? Well, the greatest number is 3. So 3 is going to be our greatest common factor. So now to write our factored expression, we're simply going to take that greatest common factor, we're going to write it outside, and now I have to figure out what goes inside my parentheses here. So you always keep the same operation. So since I was adding, I'm still going to add inside those parentheses. And now I simply divide to figure out what numbers stay in. So I'm going to take 3x, so my first number, or my first term, was 3x. So if I divide 3x by 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1, so that would give me 1x. Now, the number 1 is actually unnecessary there, so I could actually erase that 1 and just put an x there, and that's fine, because that represents a 1x, 1 times x. And now let's look at our second part of our number here, 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that's what goes in there. So now there is our factored expression. So 3x plus 12 factors to 3 times the quantity x plus 4. Alright, let's practice one more problem, and then you'll work on your bingo game with, or your tic-tac-toe game, I'm sorry, with your partner. Okay? So this time we are now looking at the numbers 18 and 24. Okay, so 18, we're always going to start with 1 and the number itself, 1 and 18. I also can do 2 times 9. Yep. I can also do 3 times 6, and that's about it for 18. For 24, we can do 1 and 24. I can also do 2 and 12. We can also do 3 and 8. And lastly, we could do 4 times 6. So those are all the factors of 24. So again, now I'm going to go and circle all of those numbers they have in common. They have a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 6. Everything else you can see is not the same. So again, which one of those is the greatest? That would be 6. So now to do my factored expression, I'm going to take that greatest common factor and pull it outside the parenthesis. Again, I'm going to keep that symbol the same, so this time we were actually subtracting. So we're going to subtract inside the parentheses, And now to figure out what stays in the parentheses, we simply divide. So 18 divided by 6 is 3, and it was a 3y. So we're going to say 3y. And our last part here is 24. 24 divided by 6 is 4. So there is our factored expression for this problem. Alright, so hopefully refer back to this if you need some help. But go ahead and play the tic-tac-toe game with a partner. And remember, the winner gets a piece of candy. So good luck.